Welcome to today's episode. I'm JJ Flazanes, your host, and thank you for downloading today's show. Today is a live on-air coaching, and we're actually focusing on the exercise and weight loss plateau. For those of you that are actually putting time and energy into your food and your exercise, but you're finding that you've hit a plateau, you've had results, now you don't, this is a great show to listen to because it's very specific about really the exercise and the food piece, whereas the last coaching session we did was really focused on the emotional piece. So together, those two sessions really give you a well-rounded approach to how we're looking at weight loss. Now, on that note, I do want to remind everybody that we have some events coming up. The next one is a free event. It is September 5th. That is a Thursday. I'm doing an online webinar at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. It will be recorded, but for those of you that come on live, you will get special bonus gifts for coming on live. And that is the mind, body, soul method of manifestation. So we're looking at manifestation from wealth to health, everything from money, relationships, as well as health, and how we need to use a mind, body, soul approach in order to obtain and really sustain sort of that level of vibration frequency that allows us to attract that which we want. So again, that's free, September 5th, and you would go to jjflazanes.com/events to sign up for that. A couple of the other events I just want to let you know about for anyone who's local. On September 21st, we have a limited seated room with Adam Shively from Million Pound Mission and Allison Melody from Food Hills Nation and Rob Dione from Open Sky Fitness and me in Huntington Beach, California from 1 to 5 p.m. at $67. And again, we probably only have a few seats left. But again, you can go to jjflazanes.com/events to see if that's something you'd be interested in attending. And it will mostly be focused on weight loss and health from a diet and exercise perspective because we've got Allison and Rob and Adam and I, and that's really what's being focused on. Okay, it's called Transformed. And yeah, so check that out if you're someone who's local or would be willing to be local for Saturday, September 21st from 1 to 5 p.m. And then the last two things I'm going to remind you about, October 11th through the 13th, is the Manifestation Boot Camp with me and Lisa Thomas. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, and she'll be back on the show before that happens, so we're going to talk about it. And then, of course, the third annual Releasing What Weighs You Down, and that is happening at 1440 Multiversity in Northern California near Santa Cruz. And this event is taking place on a 75-acre property with redwood trees, and it is spectacular and breathtaking. They provide all the right kinds of foods if you're vegan or if you're gluten-free or dairy-free, so you will be completely taken care of on the food side. And again, that's January 10th through the 12th, Releasing What Weighs You Down. For those of you that have been to the event before, obviously there'll be similar content, but it will be different every time. And the reason why it's different every time is because you're different every time. And we're looking at this as sort of the annual detox that you take your life on before starting your year and really kind of cleaning up those patterns and habits and wounds that you carry from year to year to year. So I just wanted to invite everyone, and the sooner that you register for the event, the better priced room you can get. And you're going to do that ultimately through 1440 Multiversity, but come on over to jjflazanes.com/events to be linked to the exact page you need to go to. Okay. So again, just quickly, September 5th is the free online webinar. September 21st, live in person, Huntington Beach, California. Manifestation Bootcamp here in LA, October 11th through 13th, and Releasing What Weighs You Down, January 10th through the 12th in Northern California near Santa Cruz. If you haven't been to a Releasing What Weighs You Down, we're going to try to even do some of the events outside. If weather permits, if we're on a 75-acre campus with redwood trees, I'm going to take advantage of that. So think of it again as that beginning of the year detox that not only will cleanse your subconscious and clearing away inherited emotional DNA on some of the subjects that weigh you down and create negative patterns, but also just, for your life. If you have a good momentum going, come and keep it going and cleanse it and make it even better and more powerful. So that's the pitch for today. I just want to give you guys plenty of time so that you don't say, hey, I didn't know about this. I'm letting you know, jjflazanes.com/events. I hope to see you somewhere, sometime, at least on the free webinar, if nothing else, on September 5th. And I hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Oh, hello, JJ. Lovely to talk to you.
Amanda, where are you calling in from?
I'm from the UK, Dorchester.
Great. So how long have you been listening to the show?
I've been lucky enough to have found you probably about a year, I'd say now.
And which show do you listen to?
Well, it started off fitness and the love podcast. I was drawn to your spiritual podcast. I've been looking at your books and just mixing it all up, really, and enjoying all of them.
Okay, great. So I have this client information in front of me for today's on-air live coaching call, and I see that you have 3 goals on here, which are to build muscle, to have good core strength, and to have more energy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and what it is you're looking to accomplish today?
So I am a 48-year-old mother with an 8-year-old daughter. I've never before had a problem with excess weight until I had my daughter, but I can't blame her for that. I think I've probably grabbed extra bits of chocolate and extra snacks and used them to keep my energy levels up to keep up with my daughter. I'm also perimenopausal, and I listen to podcasts trying to educate myself how to lose my belly fat, how to feel more energized with life, A, to keep up with my daughter, and B, just to feel good about myself. And I was very happy to hear that I won this coaching session, hoping that it was going to set me in a direction that would move me forwards rather than feeling slightly stuck with what to do.
Okay. So I see that also you've checked on the health questionnaire. There's some digestive issues as
Yeah,
well as food allergies. Why don't you talk a little bit
correct.
about that?
So gluten and dairy are my top ones, allergies. I've had ever since I was about 7 or 8 problems with IBS. I have to be really careful with my diet. So I eat organic as much as I can, limit my red meat, lots of vegetables. I have noticed that eating rice is affecting me now as I'm getting older. But it's just trying to fit in the time to bring in even more changes to help my digestion. And I've learned so much through my health issues on vitamins and minerals and the art of relaxation, mind, body and spirit, really. But as I said, I've got to a plateau and I just need to find something that will help me move forward rather than stay where I am at the moment.
Okay. So on the activity level, it says you have like a medium. So for all those of you that haven't filled out a client intake form of mine, which is most of you, there's a question that says physical activity level, low, medium, and high, and do you currently engage in exercise? And you said walking dogs, right? Okay.
That's correct.
All
Yeah.
right. So why don't we go over a little bit of what it is? Because it sounds like obviously we'll hit it from the physical part first. It sounds like you have some bit of a routine because you just said you've plateaued. So something that you've been doing. And my guess is whatever you've been doing, has it worked? Has it provided some kind of result?
It had done. This time last year, I was slimmer. I used to, because my dogs were younger, I could do fast walking, but they're getting older now, so I'm slowing down, even though I do a good hour and a half in the morning, and then in the evenings we go for another walk, and my daughter's on her bike. But I've noticed that the exercise isn't, it's not managing my weight as it used to. I noticed that if I had a good walk in the morning, I could almost feel my body burning off any sort of extra weight, but it's not happening at the moment. So as I said, I'm sort of plateaued really with all of that, and I don't quite know what to do, because I know that I've tried running, probably maybe too fast, I don't know, and I didn't feel at all well. And and I haven't got time to not feel well when I'm looking after a family. So I'm just really hoping to learn other ways to build my resilience and to help my weight and fitness.
So how many days a week do you work out currently?
So every day, 7 days a week. So I went to the woods this morning. Normally, right now, I would be walking around the country lanes for another hour. And in the day, my daughter said, can we go for a bike ride? Or mummy, can we go for swimming? Or something like that. But I think my body's got used to it. It feels like it's got used to it.
Is it 7 days a week? Is there a certain amount of time? So you do 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes?
Okay, so mornings an hour, hour and a half. Evenings between 40 minutes and probably an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, particularly in the summer. And then in the day, cycling, or go swimming with my daughter, or we go to a water park, or any sort of thing like that, really. And I'm just not noticing any change. In fact, I'm putting on weight, and I've got more weight on me, and I don't feel as well. I feel more tired, whereas normally I'd be energized.
So let me get this straight. Are you working out 3 times a day?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah.
Three
I
times a
don't.
day, 7 days a week?
Yeah, I suppose so. 'Cause busy family, dogs, and yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's something called the FIT principle that I use. It's FITT, and I do it when I have live events or when I'm working one-on-one with somebody, either in person, or I can do it definitely like this. Normally it's on video, not just on audio. But so I want you to imagine the graph. Okay. So FITT, and I'm going to write it out twice, under one above and one below. FITT. What that stands for is frequency, intensity, time, and type. And so what I'm going to do right now is just going to ask you, because the two categories are, one is cardio and one is resistance training. And we're looking at, again, frequency, how often are you doing it, intensity, how hard are you doing it, time, how long are you doing it, and type, what are you doing? And when it comes to adjusting a plateau, you want to take maybe one of these categories and adjust it. And sometimes based on lifestyle or access to something or fitness level, one of the categories doesn't change. So for instance, I had a client once and she lost about 100 pounds in the course of about a year with me, but for about 9 months of those 12 months, her type on the cardio was treadmill. And she didn't change that because, well, at the time she was over 300 pounds when we started, and she was watching Oprah or some kind of television show, and that became a routine. And it was the beginning of her weight loss journey, because she, it was easier in her joints. It was something that she could do every however many days we decided. So it became super easy, and I didn't want her to do anything harder because her joints and muscles weren't necessarily prepared for something harder, and it was working. So we want to do whatever is working as long as it's working. And then when you start to plateau, you make slight adjustments so that your body has to adapt to the next level. So let's start out with the cardio fit principle. And it sounds like, so frequency. So you're doing 7 days a week, but how many times a day are you working out?
Not heavy cardio. I suppose fast walking, but not. I don't get out of breath.
So let's look at what exercise is. Specifically, I'm exercising. So not getting out of breath, but literally focusing on, I'm going to do this activity for in a little elevated fashion intensity for,
Oh,
how
I don't do
long?
that.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour.
No,
How
I
much?
don't do that at all.
Not at all, ever, or just only
No,
once a day?
never,
Never.
never. No, not that. No.
So this morning walk and this evening
Yep.
something or other and this midday something are all, let's jump to intensity. You'd say it's about 50% intense?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay, so we need to give you some credit though for moving. So why don't we just say that you're doing the 7 days a week? Let's make the frequency. You're doing 7 days of something
Okay.
that you're at about 50% intensity. So now the
Okay.
type, you're walking. What else are you doing?
I go to the water park. That can be quite intensive using your muscles, the bouncy water parks, or swimming with my daughter, or we go to the beach, a bit more swimming, that sort of thing. And with an 8-year-old, it's a bit more intense. So that's the sort of activity.
Okay. And then the duration, how long it's going on for, would you say in
Um,
that you're in constant motion? Not how long, like you're at the water park for 4 hours, but out of the four
okay.
hours or 3 hours, how long are you actually moving
So
around?
the water park would be 30 minutes, fairly solid going. That's quite tiring. Swimming in the sea, probably 15, 20 minutes. But not, no, actually, I'm pulling her around more than anything, actually. So it's probably about 10 minutes of intensity and then pull her around. And then walking, again, back to walking. I do a lot of walking.
And you said it was about an hour sometimes walking?
Oh, easy, yes. Yeah. 2 hours a day, easy. Yeah.
Okay.
At
A-
least. Yeah.
And and you was this something that you started to do more of like before? Let's go a couple like last year you said
Mm.
you were seeing more results a year ago. Had you
Yes.
just started adding all this a year ago or had you been doing this level of movement for a long time?
A long time. And it's slowing down a bit because my dogs are getting older. The morning, that they were what I relied on to do my cardio, to get out of breath, to go up the hills, and that sort of thing. But they can't do that so much now. So my walks are more steady. So that's the length of them haven't slowed down. It's the actual, um, I'm not doing big hills anymore, or I'm not getting out of breath in the last probably 6 months, good 6 months.
Okay. All right. So that's the cardio portion. Now what about resistance training? Are you doing any resistance?
None,
None.
none.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So hopefully, in one of the many shows, if you've been listening to my show for a year, hopefully, I don't know how many shows, if you just listened to the current ones or if you've gone back and listened to
I
any
go back.
past ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know I've talked about metabolism before, but what makes up your resting metabolism is literally your nervous system, generally your nervous system, which is also run by your neurotransmitters and your hormones. But let's say
Okay.
that's somebody's personality type. And if we take someone who is a type A personality who could have a lot of anxiety or is
Mhm.
very focused or very driven, someone who taps their foot underneath their desk or is constantly
Mhm.
needing to move around, that type burns more nervous energy and calories naturally because of their, whether it be fire sign
Mhm.
energy or because they have anxiety or because they're super passionate or because they're super excited, whatever that may be, that's a nervous system contribution to calorie burning and metabolism. Now on the flip
Mhm.
side, we've got people who, I call them the surfer dudes. The surfer dudes are just like
Mhm.
relax. And I'm talking about not drug induced. These are not like pothead surfer dudes, just naturally kind of
Chilled
chill
out. Yeah.
and slow. And
Mhm.
those people burn less calories with their
Mhm.
nervous system. And I'm
Mhm.
bringing up the nervous system first because I want people to recognize sort of your personality type and where you might fall on that spectrum. And also tell you that that is why most fat burning pills work for some people, and I'm not recommending them, and I don't think anyone ever should use them. They're very dangerous. But what they do is they put you on speed. And so for the people
Okay.
who are the slower people, and all of a sudden you've
Mhm.
taken speed, now your nervous system is cranking out more energy and you are burning more calories, but it isn't healthy the way that you're doing it, and it will have negative side effects later. So I'm recommending that that's when people have too much caffeine, when people just have too much stimulus and their nervous system is again on this like super high output,
Mhm.
it can work, but it isn't really desirable because it's dangerous on the rest of your body later on. So the
Okay.
nervous system is one side of your metabolism, but the thing that we want to focus on that we can control and contribute to is our our structure, our physical structure. So
Mhm.
how much muscle do you have? Like what needs more gas, a Hummer or an Escort?
Oh, a Hummer, I
Right.
guess. Yeah.
Right. Because it has more muscle, it's bigger, it has more metal,
Uh,
it needs more energy to move it around or to keep it going. And so that's the same for our bodies. And so one of the things I recommend that people do, and I can do this with anyone, not with you right now in
mhm,
this moment, but we could do it afterwards. If you wanted to do something with me later, I would send you to, and I can send everybody to, basically, you could just look it up. It's a, I think it's health statistics, and I don't have the exact link right now, but you can test your body fat and you can do it with a tape measure. And so I think a body fat measurement is more useful than your weight measurement, because when you step on the scale, what you're measuring is everything. And so when you look at what did I lose, let's say someone lost or gained 2 pounds in a day, even though I do not recommend anyone be weighing themselves every day, but let's say you lost or gained 2 pounds. You don't know what those 2 pounds are. Those 2 pounds could very easily be water, and they're most likely water. They could even be muscle. And of course, what we don't want to lose muscle. We might want to lose water depending on how much inflammation we have. But
mm,
what we really want to do is we want to lose fat. So if we want to lose fat, then we have to pay attention to how we're doing things, what we're doing, what energy systems we're using for exercise or for not, and how we're building up our structures, our composition. Does that make sense?
mm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so when you age, we lose hormones naturally unless you're adding hormones back in. But even if you are doing bioidentical hormone replacement therapy or some kind of natural homeopathic or Chinese medicine way of kind of maintaining a higher output of your hormones, unless you're doing something physically that stimulates your body holding on to muscle or building muscle, you're losing it. And
Hmm.
muscle is like the Hummer. The more muscle you have, the more energy you need. So your metabolism slows down over time. And that is for everyone. In fact, we just had friends over from out of town, and the wife is going through menopause, and I don't mean it in a like a laughing at anybody kind of way. I've literally been talking about this for 20 years, but the only people who are listening are the ones going through it, which means that anyone who's listening to this now who's less than 45 isn't that interested in this conversation because they're not going through it yet.
Hmm.
What I want to tell everybody who's less than 45, and those of you that are in your 30s and 35 and 40, start planning now, because what you do now will affect what happens as you go into menopause. And again, even like I said, even if you're doing hormone replacement therapy, if you're not doing activities that build and maintain your current level of muscle or more, then you will have a decrease in your metabolism, which will mean that the normal food you ate last year will now make you gain weight.
Hmm.
Or, and even if you decrease the food and you do a lot of cardio, you may lose a little bit of weight in the beginning. But what will happen, like you're experiencing, is you'll plateau and then you'll gain weight,
Hmm.
because cardio is not the right exercise for people who are in menopause.
Okay, that makes sense. Right.
Okay. So we need to be building muscle. And when I say building muscle, everyone, I don't mean looking like a bodybuilder. Okay. That is the furthest thing from what actually happens when someone actually does resistance training. And the people that are bodybuilding or doing some kind of competition spend hours upon hours upon hours upon hours focused on what they're eating, how they're sleeping, how they're not eating, working out. That's not what I'm recommending. I'm recommending that everyone, period, if you're going to be doing any kind of resistance training, that you do it with the intention to build muscle, because if it's not, then you're really wasting a lot of time. There's no such thing as to tone and then to build. Like to tone, like you don't use little weights to tone your muscles and big weights to build them. That's not how it works. Your body inside does not know how much weight you have on the outside. All it knows is it either goes to failure or it doesn't. It either sends a signal to your body to build muscle or it doesn't. You're either strong enough to complete the exercise, in which case your body doesn't need to change, or you take it to a place where the body has to signal, hey, I'm not good at this. I need to get better. What do I need to do? Oh, I need to build muscle. Oh, I need to release some fat. Oh, I need to build some endurance. So we have to take exercise to a place where the body is slightly uncomfortable and not good at it. But we want to do it in a safe and effective and strategic
Mm.
way.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good. Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to recommend to you for sure is that you need to start doing some resistance training. Now, that is a very broad statement because it's responsible in the way that it's the right direction. It's irresponsible in the way that, obviously I want to tell you that I would like to build the program for you because I'd like it to be so that you don't get hurt in the process and that you're doing it effectively. But let's just say for everyone's sake that that's not going to be possible. So what would I then recommend? For you and for anyone listening, I have a YouTube site. I also have 2 video podcasts, and one of them is about exercise. Also, back at the Fit to Love podcast in the very beginning, it was everything. It was 6 days a week, and 2 of those days were video, and one of them was completely exercise. But to make it easy for everybody, the exercises live at jjflizanes.tv. And there are a couple different playlists. One is the Smart Exercise playlist. Now, the Smart Exercise playlist is me repurposing the original content from Fit to Love. So all of the exercises are not there yet. There are a lot of them, but if you want the entire library of exercises, you go to the Fit to Love Movement Mondays playlist. Okay, Fit to Love Movement Mondays playlist. But although watch the Smart Exercise episode 0, it just gives you a little bit of background as to what I'm about when it comes to exercise and what you need to pay attention to. But after episode 0, all the rest of the exercises are the same on both playlists. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Okay. So what I'm going to recommend, again, for those of you who are listening and for you, Amanda, is to start with probably there's 2 videos called 10-minute leg exercises for the beginner and 10-minute leg exercises for the intermediate. I would recommend that you start with the beginner and you even just start out with 10 minutes. There are 2 exercises, I believe, in that video. And if you can just start with that, get you someplace. But let's go into the programming after I address the other things. All right. So right now you have no resistance training happening and you've got a lot of movement cardio, but none of it is very efficient.
No.
You're not taking your body to a place where it actually has to get better at something, correct?
That's right. Yeah, correct.
Okay. So without trying to make your life about exercise, how many days a week could you commit to doing some kind of harder cardio? Because I think the biggest, because your timing is fine. You've got, a 30-minute here, a 10-minute here, a 60-minute here. I think that's all fine. And the walking and the different things that you're doing are fine. You just need to take that intensity level, the I in the FIT principle, that needs to be bumped up sometimes. So how many days a week could you do something harder?
Well, I could do something harder every day, cardio, if I committed to it. Well, when I am committing to it, I'm scared of the pain because I once did a kettlebell session with a fitness guy and I couldn't walk for 3 days.
Okay. Case in point where why, it's not just a sales pitch. It's me literally saying, please, everyone, let me help you because I don't want that to happen to you. Right.
So I'm quite grateful that you said that. So I'm saying, yes, I want to do it, but I have a bit of fear behind it.
Well, first we're talking about just the cardio piece, right? So the kettlebell session you did was not cardio. The kettlebell session you did was mostly resistance. It was probably more in interval training, but let's just put that aside for a second. And I'm not a big fan of kettlebells for those of you listening. And the reason is because it's just a weight that you put 2 hands on. And most of the time the exercises that are attached to kettlebell training is a lot of using momentum versus using muscular control. And I'm not a fan of that because if you're using momentum and the weight is handling that momentum and gravity, then your joints have to decelerate that, which means if they're not strong enough, you will hurt yourself. So I'm just not a fan of kettlebells for that reason. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel better now. Now I understand that. So to do the harder cardio, how long would you want me to do it for? Because if it was every day, say if I added on an extra 15 minutes or...
So I think right now what I'd prefer you do is that you start out with 3 days a week. And you can possibly either build or swap. So let's say you take 3 days a week of maybe the walk that you do on your own or 30 minutes. let's see, take one of the sessions and
Hmm.
that you do 3 days a week
Yep.
and increase your intensity level. So here's where I would recommend that you use some kind of device. I like Polar. I'm if those of you saw me, I have a flip phone. I don't have an iPhone or a smartphone, and I'm extremely loyal until I have to change. Now I have an iPad, so I'm not about not being about the technology, but I prefer Polar over Fitbit. Although I know Fitbit has come a long way and they've got all kinds of things, and some of the Apple Watches also have the gadgets and the gizmos. But I've been using Polar for 25 years and I like the kind of information it gives me. So I'm going to recommend that you get some kind of device that tracks your heart rate. But here's the thing, I don't want you just to know what your heart rate is at any given moment. For me, the reason why I like Polar and the reason why I haven't really done Fitbit yet is because I haven't seen anyone track the amount of time they're in their target heart rate zone. So let me give you the breakdown of what I'm looking for. You're going to put on a device for your sessions to see where your range is. And if you're going to be spending 30 minutes doing some kind of cardiovascular activity, I want to know that 24, 25 of those minutes was spent in a heart rate zone that actually moves the needle for you in terms of taking you to the next fitness level. If
Okay.
you're taking a 30-minute walk and maybe you're sweating a little bit, maybe you're slightly out of breath, but your heart rate is doing really good and you're not actually working that hard, then it's not a waste of time, but it's not as efficient as it could be.
Hmm.
And for those of you who don't have 3 times a day to work out, for those of you that only have a certain amount of time, and even for you, Amanda, as time changes, as as more things in your life start to change, we
Mm.
want to just be efficient, right? We want to get the most out of the time that we're spending. So I
Mm-hmm.
really want you to have some kind of device. Again, I'm recommending a Polar heart rate monitor, so that way you can track how much time you're spending in the total exercise, how much of that was spent in your target heart rate zone, which we can program, also a maximum heart rate and an average heart rate. And
Okay.
those numbers, when you track them over time, you start to see how your body adapts. As you get stronger and more fit, your heart rate goes lower, you burn
Oh.
less calories, your maximum heart rate's lower, and your average heart rate is lower, and the whole exercise gets easier. And
Mm.
that would be an indication, not right away, but over time, as it gets lower and lower, for you to increase again
Mm.
the intensity level. Does that make sense?
Got you. Yes. Yeah.
So if we're not tracking some kind of heart rate, then you're guesstimating. And
Hmm.
for me, back in like way back in the beginning, 25 years ago when I first started training, I got on an elliptical trainer and I had just gotten my heart rate monitor, and I remember thinking that I must be really high in my zone because I was sweating, I was going
Mm.
fast.
Mm.
There was no resistance on the machine, and when I
Mm.
looked down at my heart rate, it was barely at 50%. And that was a real eye opener for me to think, if someone thinks that they're going fast and that they're doing good enough cardio, but yet they're not getting results, it's because you're more fit than you think you are. The exercise isn't hard enough for you and you're
Hmm.
wasting a lot of time. And I'd
Okay.
say that happens with a lot of people who do walks. They'll go walking, and at first, the walking makes a big difference. You feel
Mm.
better, you feel more
It did.
energized, you feel more flexible, you're
Yeah.
losing weight,
Yeah.
but then you're going to plateau.
That's it. That's it. That's exactly what's happened.
Okay, so you're gonna get some kind of device, Fitbit or Polar
Yeah.
heart rate monitor, and we're going to start looking at your heart rate during this focused cardio piece. And I would recommend also testing out what happens in the other pieces too, because while the elliptical, I thought I was doing harder than I was. Flip side, when I started rollerblading, I thought this isn't nearly as high as running. And then when it was, I was like, well, darn, I'm going to rollerblade. I'd rather rollerblade than run. And rollerblading gets my heart rate up. So we would just want to pick choices that make sense to
Mm.
maximize the time you're spending. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So right now we're going to say that 3 times a week, you're going to increase the intensity of your exercise and you're going to find some kind of tracking device to
Right.
use to regulate that.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side, it's time to look at your resistance training. So, how many times a week could you commit to some kind of resistance training?
Um. Okay. That's a harder one in one sense because I have to stay still in one place. when I'm running around doing everything. So I would have to I would have to really make it a focused intention. If I put it into it for 2-3 times a week, that would be quite a big jump for me.
So let's
I
start
find,
with two.
yeah,
Let's start with
okay,
two. So
okay,
2 times a week. And, like I said, that 10-minute leg exercise for the beginner, it's 10
mhm,
minutes. So if you just say you're going to do 15 minutes twice a week,
okay,
that would be a good place to start. So frequency would be 2. And if you can get more in, like 2 to 3, that's fine. But don't get
okay,
like set yourself up to win, not to fail. And
yeah,
where most people go wrong is they go, I'm going to do 5 days a week,
mm,
and you're currently doing none.
mm,
Okay, that's not a jump you're going to sustain. So
no,
let's do 2 to 3.
okay,
Now, the intensity level when it comes to resistance training is that you want to do it slowly enough and consciously enough and connected to your muscles enough that
mhm,
you basically feel a little bit of a burning sensation going on, and you get to a place where you get a little shaky in good form, and then you can't do any more. So I'm going to say failure, but you're not going to quite get to failure, but you're going to push yourself to a place where your muscles are burning, maybe they're shaking a little bit, but you're still able to maintain good form.
mhm,
And so that would be on a scale of 1 to 10, somewhere around a 7 or an 8.
7 or 8, yeah, I got that, yeah, I'm there.
And here's another indication of resistance training if it's effective. The resistance training, what we're doing is we're breaking down the very in the deepest part of the cell, there's a bond of actin and myosin, and we want to break that. But it's done very, again, specifically with good neurological control. With because you can do exercises where you're using more brain power than muscle power, and I want to reverse that. So we want to do things in a way that maybe 2 days later you feel some kind of stiffness or muscular soreness, not in your joints, in the muscle that you worked.
Oh, okay,
Do
yeah,
not feel any kind of stiffness, fatigue, or slight soreness, then it wasn't hard enough.
oh,
In
okay,
in the case where you were with the kettlebells, you went above and
oh,
beyond, and you
God, yeah,
probably even damaged some stuff, right? You probably injured yourself in ways because you did too much too soon, and your
mm,
body and your joints weren't prepared for it.
yeah, absolutely, I wasn't.
Right. And sometimes even just a little bit of exercise can make you sore, but we want to and again, soreness is something we're kind of looking for. It's an indicator, because if you can do the exercises and you feel nothing 1 day later, 2 days later, 3, you feel nothing, and
Mm,
you did it perfectly. And there's a couple different ways it can be that has to be included in that perfect that most people don't know about. But if you did it perfectly, form, and you still felt nothing, then it means you're strong enough and it's time to
mm,
increase the intensity or change the
okay,
exercise. Okay.
got that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. So, like I said, you're going to do 2 to 3 times a week. The intensity is 7 to 8. Your time, I said 15 minutes. So that
mm,
10-minute exercise for the beginners
yeah,
would be a great place to start. I'm just going to pad it with, 15 minutes instead of 10, because I want you
mm,
to watch the video. And I probably want you to watch the video every time you do it for a little while, just to make sure
mhm,
you're doing it correctly and to see that you're trying to get the form down.
mhm,
And then type, we're going to just start with legs. Legs are the fastest way to change your metabolism.
oh,
Okay. But most people think cardio is legs. Cardio is not legs. When you're on the treadmill, you are not working your leg muscles into failure or fatigue, and they are not building muscle.
yeah,
They are utilizing endurance, and they're using glucose as your main uh, energy source. And so
mhm,
when you're doing it that way, you're in what's endurance, right? Like endurance training is not muscle building. Those are
mhm,
two things on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So everyone, no, you are not, unless you are hiking up a big hill, in which case, yes, you're using more muscle,
mhm,
or you're doing a spin class with that, you have a lot of resistance on the wheel, that would
mhm,
be building muscle. Certain types of cardio builds you up first, and then it plateaus. So things like swimming, or again, like I said, hiking, those kickboxing, those are things that at first your body will build muscle first, but then after you do it for a while, you're going to plateau and it's just cardio and there's no muscle
Okay.
building, there's no metabolism building. And that is why right now you're actually backsliding. You're not backsliding in your effort, you're backsliding in your results because your body has adapted. And now your metabolism is actually slowing down because you're
Mm-hmm.
not doing any activities that build it up.
That, well, it explains it beautifully. Yes. Now I understand.
Great. Okay. So when it comes to the exercise piece, that's, and building a resistance training program for your whole body to really build all your muscles because it'll protect all your joints and it will increase your metabolism and you will build bone in the process. All of
Mm.
those things are very important, but again, just in this format. And that is one of the things that I am able to help you and everybody else with. I'm not interested in having everybody, working you out for the rest of your lives 2 or 3 times a week. I'm not into that, but I want to build the program for you because I want it to be specific for you and your
Mm.
body and your joints to make sure it's safe. You're not going to get injured
Mm.
and you understand how to connect to your muscles in a effective way that not only build muscle faster but also it's safer and
Mm-hmm.
and you'll know put you in touch with your body. Now I have videos about some of these things
Mm-hmm.
on the YouTube site, so feel free to go scour that. It's
Yep.
jjflazanes.tv. Again, you can watch a bunch of them. I explain all kinds of things and it will help if anyone's doing this on their own. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just starting you off with legs because I want you to try it out. But just know that you're going to, after, just like with the whole cardio thing, after a few times that you do it, let's say a couple weeks, you will have built muscle and then you will have plateaued. So you will need more. And in all ways, you'll need more volume of exercise. You'll need harder exercises. You'll need different
Gosh.
exercises. So you want to work your way into building up a better program.
Okay.
Okay. So this isn't
Right.
a place to stay. It's just a place to
No.
start.
Right. Got you. Yep.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay, so now that's the physical side.
Mm.
Now let's talk about the food side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the measurements, the different measurements from the United States to the UK. What is the goal here for you on a, like, say, on a physical side? Or is there? It looks like you want to lose some weight.
I do,
Okay, so
particularly around my tummy. Yeah.
okay, and give me is there a certain number you're looking for,
Um,
or
I would like to lose a stone.
okay?
14 pounds.
For
Yep.
because that's what, okay, that says stone. I'm like, I have no idea what that says, because we don't deal with stones here in the United
Okay.
States, and so I'm a little behind in that. So thank you for the not for the education on that. So a stone is 14 pounds.
Mhm. Yep. That's what I don't want to be skinny, but yeah, I want to be comfortable in my body.
Okay. I would also recommend, and I'll send this to you after we're done here. I'll send you the link for the body fat composition test,
Okay.
because what you also, not only just the mass number on the scale, the weight, but more importantly, the body fat test. When you do a
Yeah.
program with resistance training and effective cardio for a certain period of time, those numbers should change, and we want to see that your body fat percentage goes down even
Down.
if your weight stays the same. I'm not
Yes.
saying that we want your weight to stay the same, but let's say your weight stays similar but your body fat percentage drops 3 or 5%. That means you built muscle. That means your
Okay. That's
metabolism is
what I meant
higher.
to say.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Want
so
to lose
we're,
the fat.
so we're going to test your body fat,
Yeah.
and you're looking at about 14 pounds of fat maybe you
Yeah.
want to lose. Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk briefly about your food for a second, because
Mm.
I see that there's the allergies and some digestive issues. So we just
Mm.
want to make sure, because some of that around your waist may not be fat. It may be water and inflammation from either leaky gut or
Mhm.
poor digestion.
Mhm.
So tell me
Which
a
would
little bit
make sense.
about, tell me a little bit about what you're eating.
So I tried for ages. I've just stopped at the bulletproof coffee with the MCT oil and butter and coffee, and would fast till 12 o'clock. But I ended up with really bad gunky ears, and actually my cheeks got puffier, and I've sort of swelled up a bit with it. So I've stopped this 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and I'm sort of deflating. I can see I'm deflating. My ears are clearing up. So that didn't work for me at all, and I was a bit gutted really, because I was really hoping that would be my mecca of the beginning of helping my fat to reduce to fat burn. So at the moment I have a black coffee and I hold off eating anything till about 11:30. And then I have a protein shake with frozen blueberries, maca, chlorophyll, an avocado, almond milk. And then I have things like almonds with salt on it, which I love, roast chickpeas. There are some days where I'm craving carbohydrates at lunchtime, and I'll have a pita bread with egg and salad in it, which, to be honest, I know my body doesn't like. It really does react quite badly to carbohydrates, but I just really need it for the energy, or I feel my body needs it, because I feel a bit shaky sometimes after a protein shake. It's like it hasn't got enough energy in it for me. And then in the afternoons I might eat grapes or any sort of fruit. Sometimes I crave crisps, and I feel better if I eat crisps, although my body doesn't
Can you
look
tell me
better.
what's a crisp?
Oh, sorry. The potato.
Potato chips?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So salty potato chips, and I feel really well when I eat it. But um, I know I'll put on weight really quickly with that. But my body's like, it's almost shaky. It craves it. And then dinner, like this evening we had, it's all organic. It was pesto, so the pesto sauce, the basil with chicken and as many vegetables I can put in: kale, spinach, broccoli, garlic, ginger, all of that. And I put it on a rice or a gluten-free pasta. Although I know I should be putting it on spiralized vegetables. That's my next move. Or I'll make a steak spaghetti bowl, or I make an organic roast chicken with a nice salad and some new potatoes. And I put some MCT oil on that. But I don't think I'm doing very well with MCT oil. I think I'm not able to digest it very well. My digestion is very sensitive. And I have to take a lot of magnesium in the day, B complex. I take lots of vitamins just to help try and keep myself level. And then I do crave chocolate, so I buy dark chocolate so that I don't then eat rubbish chocolate. I'll eat some dark chocolate in the evening. Herbal teas. Every now and then I'll eat something naughty with my daughter, like one of her little gluten-free cakes. She's a brilliant cook, gluten-free cakes, but again, I don't think my body likes that very much. It's more like a craving. And then afterwards I think, oh God, why did I do that? I can feel it's not helping my body. And I think it's my sugar levels almost. I can feel it going up and down. And I'm again a bit stuck on what to do dietary wise now. I've got to a point and I'm not quite sure what I should be adding in, or should I be doing less, or do I need to weigh food, or should I go on the new that diet that's out that everyone's doing, the keto diet?
Keto.
Do that, but then I'm scared if I do it, because I know my liver's quite sensitive. Am I not going to be able, I'm going to have problems? So I'm sort of like, I know I have a lot of information, but I'm not quite sure what or where to go with it.
Okay, so let's start with what kind of protein is in your shake?
It's a protein. It's a vegetable. It's a pea protein.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wrote down most of the things that you said that you ate,
Mm.
and so here's some ideas. Like you said, you had the pita bread with salad in it, and you know that
Mm.
your body doesn't do well with gluten. So I don't know if you use Pinterest at all, and I also have a bunch, not that I have, all of the recipes, but also on the YouTube channel is a gluten-free, easy paleo, gluten and dairy-free cooking show. Now I don't have
Okay.
pita bread on there, but if you used Pinterest, you could find a low carb. So I would definitely recommend, not that I'm telling you to do keto, because it sounds like you have, and I would look at replacing, you might need some more potassium too. So I know
Oh,
you said you have magnesium, but
yeah.
look at maybe putting in calcium and potassium as well. And that might curb some of the cravings.
Okay.
Do you take probiotics?
I stopped it because I've started the NEM check protocol, where I don't know if you've heard of him. He said that we shouldn't be doing, because I did probiotics for years, that in order to realign your gut flora, probiotics just seeds everything. So I'm doing prebiotics. So I do inulin rather
Okay.
than pro.
Okay. Well, here's how you know if it's right for you, right? Because as you said, there's a lot of information out there. One of the things that we test, that we do and we teach in both the online course and in person, is every time we do a Releasing What Weighs You Down, we teach muscle testing. So if you and again, it's up for sale, although I don't have a sales page for it. For those of you that are interested, Releasing What Weighs You Down from 2018. Anyway, there's a whole section on muscle testing, but muscle testing your food, muscle testing your supplements, and then also just noticing when you're taking them, do they seem like they're working? Are they doing what you said they should be doing? Are you feeling better? Are you eliminating more? See, you checked off on here that you've got some digestive issues. I would think that if you take a protocol, and then after, let's give it a week to 2 weeks, if you're not feeling the effects of it working, it's probably not working, or there's something else blocking it from working. So we have not even addressed the emotional piece yet. I have no idea the quality of your relationships in your marriage, with your daughter, with your work. I don't know anything about any of that. And we don't have time for that today, but just know that there's this whole, like, digestion emotionally is also how you digest life. So if you have any form of anxiety, if you're nervous or worried, if you're in a constant state of gripping because of fears of different things, know that that will also affect your digestion. And again, today we can't address that because there's not enough time. I just want to make sure we address it so that you can think about it, so that you can see where in life can I either meditate more or relax, or do some coaching or therapies, or things that can get me into a different state, hypnosis, things that, fixing certain issues in any relationship. So there's that whole emotional piece that, like I said, we can't address today, unfortunately, but I did want to tell you about it so that you're aware of it. So let's focus back on your food and on your supplements and whether or not they're working or not. So you already
Mm-hmm.
know that the pita bread, the gluten-filled pita
Mm-hmm.
breads aren't
Mm-hmm.
working, but maybe there's a lower carb bread that you could make or buy that would be a good substitute.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I would recommend, get on Pinterest, look
Yep.
up low carb pita bread or low carb breads, and have those on hand. I mean, I have a whole freezer full of low carb tortillas made with, that are
Oh,
gluten free and corn free. They're rice and they're cashew and they're almond and
oh.
they're cassava and they're coconut, and I've got a whole freezer full of. I actually have gluten free pita from Arizona that's frozen. So if I ever do, have a craving for pita bread, at least I have gluten free pita bread.
Yeah.
So that would be that. Like anything that you have a craving for, just see if you can find a lower carb substitute that's gluten free.
Okay. Okay. Will do. Yep.
Now on the crisps, have you ever had kale chips?
No.
Okay, so look for kale chips, in some local stores that you have near you that might be health food stores. There's a bunch of different brands here in the US. I don't know if they're all over the world, but some of them have like flavors, like there's zesty cheddar, or
Mm.
like a cheese kind, or there's just different like ranch style, and they're all vegan, and they have a little bit of like a coating, and it's a cashew based sort of a
Mm.
dairy substitute, and they're dehydrated, and so they're crispy like chips, they're salty like chips, but they're kale, and they usually have some kind of, again, like flavoring. So I would look
Okay.
into some kind of either kale chips. You can even make them, and I have a video there.
Okay.
You wouldn't make them the same because and they wouldn't be quite as healthy, but they'd be cheaper for you to make them yourself. So if you go to jjflazanes.tv under either Easy Paleo Gluten Dairy Free Cooking or Fit to Love Tasty Tuesdays, I've got a video on how to make kale chips.
Okay. Lovely. Got that down.
Okay.
Tasty.
So again, here's another way to, and again, an occasional potato chip is not a big deal. It's if you're doing it every week. It's if you're
Mm.
doing a lot of them, right? So we have the salt cravings. That's fine. If you
Mm.
find that it's more and more and more, it's probably indicating some kind of deficiency. So,
Mm.
but in the interim, see if you can't change it out for a kale chip
Mm.
or a healthier version. I know at Trader Joe's here in the US, we have like dehydrated broccoli. And I actually keep it in my car. A bag of it is like 8 grams of fiber, only like 100 calories. And it satisfies it's crunchy, but not like a chip, but it's a little salty. And man, is it full of fiber. So,
Okay.
so I'll take like the
That's good.
broccoli, and it's dehydrated broccoli. So just see if you can find some substitutes and try
Sure.
a bunch of different things. Okay.
Okay, will do. Yep.
Now the
Yep.
pesto,
Great.
the pesto sauce that you had for dinner, did you make it or did you buy it?
I did buy it.
Okay. So most pesto has Parmesan cheese in it. And
Yeah.
so that would be dairy, and that would probably not be good for you on a digestion level. Right.
Okay. Right.
And you did indicate like a carbohydrate, like a high starchy carbohydrate at dinner.
Mm,
Yours
mm-hmm,
like pasta, gluten-free pasta,
mm,
rice, right?
mm.
So I would just say try reducing those a little bit. I'm not saying eliminate them completely, but I
Yeah.
would put of your meals, I would put the starchier carbohydrate probably in the lunch
Oh, okay.
or
Right.
after your workout. So after you do your more intense workout, that's when you put in a little bit of the starchier carb. And then
Okay.
try to just reduce and you keep your dark chocolate. That's fine. Keep your dark chocolate. Just read the label and make sure there's no milk in it, because there's a lot of dark chocolates out there that use milk fat and non-fat
Okay.
dry milk. So
Oh,
you don't want to be eating a dark chocolate that's got dairy in it, and then you're
no.
wondering why your digestion's off.
Okay, got you. Lovely. Yeah.
Okay. So other than that, you sound like you're doing really well with your food. I think if you make those small changes plus change the exercise, I think you'll
Mm.
break that plateau just fine.
Oh, how exciting. You broke that down beautifully.
Good. Any
That
other
was surprising.
Good. Well, so this has been a really great show on literally just the physical side, because I
Mm.
don't know if you've heard the show before you, the live coaching was all on the emotional side. And
I love that.
we didn't get to go through the physical side. So now you and I got to cover exactly sort of how to handle someone going through menopause or right
Mm.
before. And this hopefully will hit home for a lot of people, especially
Mm.
again, all of you women who are listening. If you're 30, this is as important for you to know, because what you do now affects your metabolism 10 years from now. So
So
you
do
want
it
to
now. Yeah.
do it now because you want to continue building your metabolism. It's a long-term success strategy. The higher your metabolism, the less effects of menopause you're going to feel.
Okay, I like it. Right. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm going to start tomorrow.
Excellent.
Already. Very exciting.
All right, Amanda. Well, let's see. We're at the end of the show today. Do you have any lingering questions for me about what you're going to be doing? Did I answer all the questions you came in with?
You broke it down beautifully. You broke down everything that was in my head, which was a bit of a jumble, and it's been broken down. So now I have some roads to go down, and now I know where I can start. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And as always, I will send you a follow-up email with the link to test your body fat
Mm-hmm.
and with some options if you might be interested in me helping you to create your resistance training program. And by the way, everyone, the resistance training program is something I'm recommending you do at home, and you don't need that much equipment. In fact, to start, you need no equipment. So that 10-minute leg routine for the beginner, you need nothing. You could do it on the floor with a towel or on a carpeted floor just fine. You don't need anything to start. And but as you progress, things like a bag of tubing or some adjustable hand weights that go up, more than 10 or 15 pounds, and then a ball and a mat. Like actually, I have a whole video called Building Your Home Gym. So you can watch that and see, adjustable ankle weights. Like there's a few things you could get, but you generally don't need that much. It's not some big honking piece of equipment you have to find room for. But just everybody know that the best way to actually start your exercise program is to learn how to do it at home with your body weight and minimal extra resistance. And then you add it as you start to feel more comfortable about the form and being able to, activate the muscles in question and that we're focusing on. So it all can be done at home. You don't need a gym, and you don't have to do it any other specific place. So it's a low cost entry to start the exercises. And go ahead and make sure to check out jjflazanes.tv.
Yes, lovely. Thank you so much again. Thank you.
You're welcome, Amanda, and I look forward to hearing how you're doing.
Yes, lovely. Me too.